The water came in the night, not slowly. Kate woke up to it at her ankles. By the time she reached the stairs, it was at her knees. By the time she reached the roof, because there was no second floor, only the roof, it was at the second step. She had her phone. No signal. She had Bear. Bear was already on the roof. He had woken her. That detail matters. Bear woke her. Without him, she would have drowned in her sleep. This is that story. Kate was 38 years old, a paramedic based in Asheville, North Carolina. She had spent 14 years responding to other people's emergencies. She knew what to do in a crisis. She had protocols for everything. What she did not have a protocol for was waking up in a flood inside her own house. Bear had been her dog for 4 years. A golden retriever. Large, amber gold, built like he was made for exactly the kind of night that was coming. He slept at the foot of her bed, always, every night, without exception. She had bought him after a difficult year. She did not need to explain that to anyone. He was enough explanation. The flood came from the French Broad River, a river Kate had driven over every day for 7 years. Heavy rainfall upstream had raised it 11 feet in 6 hours. The National Weather Service had issued a flash flood warning at 11:47 p.m. Kate's phone had received it. She had not woken up to read it. Bear had woken her instead, 23 minutes before the water reached her bedroom. He did not bark. He pressed his wet nose against her hand. Once. Twice, a third time, harder. Kate woke up and reached for her phone. She saw the flash flood warning. She saw the time, 12:08 a.m. She heard the water, not a drip. A presence. She turned on her phone torch and looked over the side of the bed. The floor was wet. Not flooded, wet, shining. She was out of bed in one movement. She grabbed her go bag, the paramedic's habit, always packed, always by the door. She grabbed Bear's lead. She opened the front door. The water outside was knee-deep and moving. She shut the door. She went up. The water reached the roofline at 1:15 a.m. Not the peak, the lower edge of the roof. They were on the peak. The peak was perhaps 2 feet above the water at its highest. 2 feet. Kate had treated drowning victims. She knew exactly what 2 feet meant. She talked to him. She used the voice she used with frightened patience. Calm, steady, present. She told him about the first day she brought him home. She told him he had been the most ridiculous puppy she had ever seen. She told him she had never been more grateful for anything in her life than she was for him right now. He pressed harder against her side. The water kept rising. At 1:47 a.m. the peak had 6 inches of clearance. 6 inches between the water surface and Kate's boots. She was standing now. Bear was standing beside her. She had her arm around him. She was calculating. She was a paramedic. She was always calculating. Nearest structure. Her neighbor's 2-story house 40 meters east. She looked at Bear. He was looking at the neighbor's house. Not at the water, at the house. His ears were forward. She said, "Can you make it?" He looked at her. He looked at the house. She said, "Okay." She said, "Together." She said, "On 3." She went into the water first. The cold was immediate and total. The current was stronger than it looked from above. Bear went in beside her. He swam. Not toward the neighbor's house. He swam alongside her, his body angled to give her something to hold. She grabbed his harness. She held and kicked. Together they moved through the current, not fighting it, angling across it. The way Kate had been trained to cross moving water. Angle across. Never straight against. Bear kept swimming. A piece of debris hit Kate's right shoulder, something hard, fast. She held the harness. Bear kept swimming. 10 meters. 5. Her hands found the neighbor's fence. Submerged but solid. They reached the second-floor window ledge together. She pulled herself up. She pulled Bear up. They collapsed on the window ledge, both breathing hard. The neighbor's window opened from inside. A face appeared. An older man, wide-eyed. He said, "I heard something." Kate said, "I'm a paramedic. Can we come in?" He opened the window wider. Bear went through first. The rescue boats reached the neighborhood at 4:30 a.m. By then, Kate had treated the older neighbor, mild cardiac stress from the shock of the flood. Her go-bag had everything she needed, always packed. Always ready. When the rescue workers came through the window, the older man said, "She saved my life." The rescue worker looked at Kate. Kate pointed at Bear. She said, "He saved mine." Bear's tail moved. He accepted this accurately. Kate's house was a total loss. The French Broad River had taken the ground floor completely. She lost furniture, clothes, her record collection, a photograph of her parents she had kept on the mantelpiece for 11 years. She did not lose Bear. She did not lose herself. Those were the only two things that could not be replaced. Kate moved to a rental on higher ground. She went back to work within 2 weeks. The first call she took after returning was a water rescue, a man trapped in a flooded car. She got him out. Of course she did. She is a paramedic. She says the flood changed one thing about how she works. Before, she was good in a crisis because she was trained. After, she is good in a crisis because she has been in one. There's a difference. She says Bear is the reason she knows the difference. Because Bear woke her. Because Bear swam beside her and gave her something to hold. Because when she said on 3, he was already moving. She did not have to explain the plan. She did not have to ask twice. He was already moving. The best partners always are. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe to Bound to Survive. A new story every week.